Jess calling in from New Jersey. Jess, what's going on?
Well, I just wanted to say that I was once part of a multi-level marketing scheme, or once exposed to one.
Ooh.
About 20 years ago. About 20 years ago, I excuse me, when I every morning I would go to a bagel shop, and there was another guy there. He was very friendly to me every morning, and we would sit down and talk and like that. And then he would tell me about Amway. And I went to a demonstration of Amway, and it was basically they sold pretty much everything that you could want. I mean, it wasn't any one product, and it was just anything that you could want to really live off of, and how much you could save money. And there were these people there that were pretty much living off of it, and trying to get me on board with them. And I didn't go for it. And as soon as I didn't go for it, he never talked to me again.
Yeah.
And I just found that was it. I found it was really, really interesting that was, pretty much the only reason that he was friendly with me.
Yeah.
Capitalism has a way of making our relationships very transactional, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very typical experience. First of all, I'm very glad that you did not join Amway, because that would have probably not been very profitable. But that's very typical. We're seeing that now. A lot of single moms, stay-at-home moms, are having trouble making genuine friends because they'll meet someone who's super friendly, and then a couple weeks down the road, they'll realize that they're just trying to pitch them their MLM scheme or trying to get them into their MLM. So that's something that's very typical and very unfortunate, because it sucks to feel like you have a genuine connection with someone and then realize all they care about is making money off of you.
Right. Well, about 10 years before that, someone tried to get me into one of those MLM things before. And, my parents at the time, they were always supportive of me, and they recognized it as a pyramid scheme. And they really talked me out of it. And same thing with this time. Excuse me. And it was, I'm very in a very vulnerable position. I mean, I've called the show several times before. And I'm just in a vulnerable position, and I can really get talked into a lot of schemes or a lot of anything like that. But I was aware of this before, and I even talked to my parents about it. And they pretty much said, don't get trapped into it. And I pretty much knew that just from my experience with it before. And I was just, kind of just patiently, go ahead, whatever. You're gonna take me to this party, and okay, I'll get a night out of it.
Yeah.
Get a free dinner.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna buy into it, but what the hell,
Yeah.
It's like sort of,
you start small, you start skeptical, and then they lure you. It's like, yeah, you must have had this experience, Taylor. In the youth group, did you ever have the retreats? And did the youth pastor ever be like, "Oh, come on, we're just gonna stay up and play Halo and hang out, and have fun," and then like it gets real serious, and then you they start talking about how you're a sinner and you need to stop,
Oh yeah,
lusting
I've had a lot
after
of
your
those
high school kids.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many discussions about, especially about sexuality. That was always talked about.
Yeah, like isn't because there's all these intersections between how people get into religions or cults versus how people get into MLMs. I mean, it's the same tactics. It's the exact same tactics. Almost no difference.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yep, same thing.
So Jess, you also talked about the fact that you're part of a vulnerable population, and that's what breaks my heart the most. Because I lost my job in December. I talked about this on the show, and I didn't get into it, but I went to an interview, which I didn't realize for the time was for an MLM when I was looking for another job. And like I could figure out the signs almost right away after the fact. But that's only because I literally have conversations about this stuff all the time. Like, I'm not the typical person, and I could easily see how someone who doesn't recognize the signs could get into this. And I'm so scared and I'm so worried about people getting into it right now more than ever. And I wish I could just have a bullhorn to the world and just tell people, stop, don't get into this. But yeah, I guess the best we can do is just have conversations like we're doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about it
Yeah,
more and
well,
more.
The thing is, like I said, I'd already been through something like that, so I kind of knew. I already knew what to look for, and so I'm just sort of like, well, like I said, I got a free dinner out of it, you know?
Yeah. And you're very fortunate
Yeah,
for
yeah.
having parents that could tell you that, like, this is a pyramid scheme, because for a lot of people, they have no idea what they're getting involved in.
Yeah. Or their parents are part of one too.
Yeah, which is worse,
Yeah.
because then you have pressure from your
Yeah.
parents, and that's even worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, don't think I don't know that, because my parents have been so supportive of me over the years.
That's
And
awesome.
I'm
That's
very,
great.
very lucky to have them. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I was like really psyched when I heard you were on, Taylor. It was
Well,
really-
thank you so much for calling in. It was, I enjoyed hearing your
Oh,
story.
you're welcome.
Yes. And thank you for calling in.
No problem at all. I was
Oh yeah, thanks so much for
Thank
calling in. I'm so glad we got to hear stories from people who have experienced this. I mean, I think everyone in this country, once you get to a certain age, has either passively experienced it or has got, like, you know what I mean? Like, even if it's just had a conversation, like, it's so prominent, it's everywhere.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
everyone's story is so similar. Just him talking about how this guy was so nice to him, and then when he decided he didn't want to join the MLM, he pretty much ghosted him. That's so typical. And so we can, if we educate people about the tactics that they use, maybe less people will fall victim to it.